Hello money makers. Welcome to today's top 5 market updates. Our first update is on the global pandemic, where a new spike in infections is raising new lockdown fears. With infections surging in swaths of the US, states are closing back down and any personal spending bump from May is likely to come back down. Apple closed 14 stores in Florida. Darden Restaurants Inc. was one of the few big bright spots in the market today, with CEO Gene Lee shrugging off the impacts of the virus, saying it hasn't had much of an effect on business. Yelp reported that of the 140,000 closures of the businesses on its app since March, 41% are permanent closures. Next up we have US personal income and spending data due later today. Personal income in June is expected to have declined by 6% compared to a jump of 10% for the previous month as stimulus checks run out, according to Bloomberg. Spending figures may show increased spending of 9% compared to a 14% retraction in May as some US states started to reopen. Congress may approve a second round of stimulus checks in July. We move to Germany next, where fintech firm Wirecard has collapsed, owing $4 billion. Wirecard collapsed on Thursday, owing creditors almost $4 billion after disclosing a gaping hole in its books that its auditor EY said was the result of a sophisticated global fraud. The payments company filed for insolvency at a Munich court, saying that, with €1.3 billion ($1.5 billion) of loans due within a week, its survival as a going concern was not assured. There are clear indications that this was an elaborate and sophisticated fraud involving multiple parties around the world. In central bank news, the US Fed has halted share buybacks and limited dividends by US banks. Banks are in a strong position despite the strain of pandemic-related economic lockdowns, but the Federal Reserve wants the industry to proceed with caution. Share repurchases have been suspended for the third quarter and bank dividend payments will be capped at their current levels, with payouts based on a bank's recent earnings. Banks have to reassess their capital plans and may face another stress test later this year, the Fed said in announcing the results of its annual stress tests. Our final update comes from the energy market, with Venezuela's oil crisis deepening as Indian refiners have halted imports. India's largest private refinery halted purchases of Venezuelan oil, putting additional pressure on the Latin American country's beleaguered oil industry. Reliance Industries Limited, which runs the biggest refinery in the world in Jamnagar and accounted for 25% of Venezuela's exports last year, has no plans at the moment to make future purchases. It is the latest buyer to shun oil after U.S. refiners, China National Petroleum Corporation, and Rosneft Trading SA cut off supplies amid sanctions on Venezuela's oil sector. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for regular updates. Only on Capital Street FX.